Hello and welcome to Has Germany by Name's Jap with me, Geese Verwin. Today's chapter, chicks. Lois feeding. Okay, done. With that, what is voice leading? Well, each chord tone in a melody and in a set of melodies can be thought of as a voice. When we move from one chord to the next, there are voices that move. So since we're dealing with the jazz style, we are usually dealing with 4 or more voices. Now, this isn't always necessarily true, but that's what all of the next information is going to be based on. There are 2 approaches to voice leading. One is the formulaic approach that is based upon the root movement of the bass. So if the root moves in fourths, there is a special formula for that. If the root moves in seconds, there's a special formula for that. The next technique used is the follow the melody technique, where you choose a chord structure below the melody, and with a melody that is a bit more angular and not as stepwise and easy to deal with, that structure remains somewhat the same throughout all of the melodic jumps and fragments you have to deal with. So the purpose of these techniques is to retain the harmonic meaning of a chord progression in the smoothest fashion that supports the melody. Diatonic chord function relationships are used to model these formulas. So all of those diatonic relationships can also translate to chromatic relationships as well. So let's start with the voice leading formulas. Now with these formulas, we are focusing on root movement and trying to achieve the smoothest possible stepwise motion. When the root moves up or down a fourth, we have a function swap. The root swaps with the 5th, and the 3rd swaps with the 7th. This works both ways. Also, let's not forget that all of these voice leading formulas work with replacement tones. So the root is replaced by the 9th, the 3rd can be replaced by the 11th or the sharp 11, or sus2 in some cases, so on and so forth. You remember those rules, and if you don't, you can always look back in my previous videos. So when the root moves in thirds up or down, we get a contrary function shift. So if our root is moving up a third, then the functions move down one function. If our chord is moving down a third, the functions move up one function. Finally, for the root motion of seconds, we get 2 types of formulas. We get parallel motion, where all functions simply move together, as the bass line's moving in a stepwise motion, so this lends itself very easily to stepwise motion, with all the other voices, of course. But you also have another option, contrary motion. If the bass moves up a second, each function can move down. If the bass moves down a second, each function can move up. Alright, let's take a look at the follow the melody technique. With follow the melody, you simply choose a voicing structure below the melody that you like the sound of and follow the functional movement of the melody. So if the melody moves up in function, all of the other functions will move up in function as well. This works really well for melodies that don't land on the same chord tones as the harmony moves. It's for more angular melodies, melodies that break the rules, so to speak. Also, don't forget if the root moves to the 5th, then the 3rd swaps with the 7th. So basically, we're almost treating the melody like it's the root motion.
Yo, bro, so I tried this and I ended up with a bunch of shit voicings, man. Can you explain that?
Oh yeah, that does sound awful. Well, what you can do is get rid of those minor ninths in your voicings. Beware of the nasty minor ninth. Now, let's talk about this for a second. Why do they sound so bad? Well, one reason is because when you take a minor ninth and you squish it into its non-compound interval, it is the minor second, a half step. So that's a very, very tense, rubby sound. And when you expand the higher note an octave higher, you're actually making the less stable note the melody, which is exactly what it sounds like, destabilizing. So as a general rule, when two chord tones are a half step apart, you want the lower chord tone above the higher chord tone. Let's fix that example for you. And I'll give you another example just for fun, since it's almost the end of the video already.